Epic is just wanting something and allowing yourself to have it. It worked!
Okay, so one of the things I am very passionate about is Halloween, which is coming up. So I thought I would celebrate by watching some of the Halloween specials I've never seen before that people always give me grief for not having seen. One of the biggest ones is a made-for-TV Disney movie that came out in 1998 called Halloweentown. I have never heard anybody say that they have not liked this movie. Everybody thought it was great. So today we're going to do a review of Halloweentown because, quite frankly, I did not like it. And I'm going to tell you why. So I watched a few reviews on YouTube of Halloweentown, and everyone I watched starts off with the person in the video giving you a summary of the movie. I'm not going to do that as much because I figure you've already seen the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, don't watch this review because there's going to be some spoilers. So just end with I didn't like it and go watch it and then come back at this point in the video and watch from there. The first thing I'm going to do is go over the characters. The characters, I think, were pretty good. Starting with Marnie, everybody finds her very relatable. She's a 13-year-old girl. She acts like a 13-year-old girl. She says 13-year-old girl things. She wants what every 13-year-old girl wants. To secretly be a witch, and not just be a witch, but be the best witch that there ever was. And get a boyfriend somewhere along the way in the middle of all that. Which is absolutely true. When I was 13, that's what I wanted. I wanted to be a witch. I wanted to be the best witch. And I wanted to get a boyfriend. So, as far as Marnie being a relatable 13-year-old girl character, absolutely 100%. Aggie, the grandmother, she's just kind of a normal witch character. She's not bad, she's not great, she's just pretty common. And then you have the other two kids, I think it's Simon and Sophie. Simon is a very cliche character. He's the brainy boy of the bunch that doesn't believe in magic at all. Even right up to the very end where he has magical abilities, they're in a magic town and they banish the magic evil warlock. He still refuses to believe that magic exists and figures that there must be some kind of scientific explanation. A little overdone, a little over the top. Not a fan. And then there's Sophie, who is the youngest, seems to be the most adept at magic naturally, but nobody acknowledges that. And from what I've seen in reviews, she's not in the sequels very much, so good job messing that one up. And then we come to the mom. The mom is a terrible character. Honestly, she is one of the reasons I don't like the movie. She keeps her kids from celebrating Halloween in any capacity and never tells them why. Now, I know a lot of religious people that don't let their kids trick-or-treat because of black magic and witchcraft. They don't want anything to do with any of that, and that's understandable. But to just never tell your kids why they can't celebrate Halloween, why they can't talk about Halloween, that doesn't make any sense. What is she afraid of? Does she think that they're gonna run into a vampire or a witch like she ran into their dad? And would that be such a bad thing? She completely denies her kids finding out that they're magic so that they can make a decision on their own and just wants to be normal. Why? What is so great about being normal? She never says. Ever. In the whole movie. And then we come to the villain. The villain in the movie is actually pretty good. He's got a good reason for being a villain. He's got a good solid place in the movie to be a villain. And from the standpoint of this being a kid's movie, he's a good person to be the villain because right from the beginning he's giving the kids candy and seems like a really good guy. Then you find out he's a bad guy. I grew up in the world of stranger danger and never say yes to a stranger, and that seems like a good solid message that they're sending there, is even though this guy was giving you candy and ice cream and being nice to you and giving you whatever you want, he's the bad guy. So you just can't trust people that you don't know. So that's a pretty good message for kids and not a bad villain for a Disney movie. the whole idea of Lucas bothers me. So he basically trades his town and everybody he knows so he can look handsome. In a town full of werewolves and goblins and skeletons and zombies, and he looks human. At the end, when he's turned back into a goblin, he has this moment with Marnie where he says, "Still couldn't get a date with you." Like he tried so hard. He just was a douchebag to her, and when she turned him down, that's all he had. Contrary to popular belief, girls do not like jerks. If the whole message there is inner beauty, why was he asking Marnie out to begin with? He knew her for 10 seconds. It's not like he looked at her and said, "Ah, that looks like a girl with a great personality." None of that makes any sense. And to end the way it did, the message is inner beauty. All they show is that he gets friend-zoned. So I don't know that the message is very strong or positive. Nothing about that is right. So moving on to the plot, there's 2 sides to the plot packed in a movie that's too short to have enough time for both. So you have the plot that Marnie is finding out that she's a witch, and that if she doesn't practice magic before Halloween is over, then she'll never be able to do magic again. But that can't be enough for a movie. There's no conflict there. So then they also have the town of Halloweentown is being taken over by evil. A couple problems I have with the evil plot is that Aggie describes the people, they change, they become evil, and then they disappear. Later on you find out that they're all in this theater and they're frozen, and it's never explained why. Why were they like goblins first? And then why were they frozen? He just says that he'll need them later, but there's no clear reason why he needs them later. And clearly he can just freeze people, so why are they turning goblin-esque first? Why aren't they just disappearing and being frozen? I don't know. I don't think the writers know either. The other problem I have with the plot is that Aggie shows up on Halloween, and the kids are all excited and surprised to see her, and Marnie tells her mom not to get in a fight with their grandma because they haven't seen her in a year. It's later mentioned that Aggie can only cross over to the mortal world on Halloween. Why are they surprised to see their grandma on Halloween if they only ever see her on Halloween and they see her every Halloween? Why are they surprised to see their grandma on Halloween? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, moving on. Probably the biggest problem I had with the film, the pacing of the movie, is terrible. There is so much time spent in the beginning of the movie before they get to Halloweentown that by the time you actually get to the conflict of the movie, there's only 11 minutes left. They have to do everything in 11 minutes. So you know that whatever they try is just going to work the first time. And at the end, there's just all this time spent with Kalabar holding the scepter and threatening them and ha ha ha, while they can have plenty of time to combine their family magic and defeat him. Doesn't he have a plan? Was that his plan, to just stand there with the scepter and laugh maniacally until they win? That's a terrible plan. And it takes up like 3 minutes of just him laughing. He could have done something in that time. He's got the scepter. Destroy it, for one thing. The special effects did bother me. I said I'd give it a pass, but honestly, if you can't do it, then don't. You don't decide to do a movie about witches and werewolves and skeletons if you can't back it up with some special effects that are at least a little convincing. And so what Disney did, when they couldn't fall back to green screen, which looks terrible, they would just cut away and you would just assume the action happened. And that's worse. I like that less. So that bothered me too. That happens a lot in the movie. And I know a lot of people are gonna say, come on, it's a kid's movie. And let me just say that I am tired of that being some kind of excuse that gets movies out of being bad movies. Just because it's a kid's movie, it doesn't have to be good? Are you saying we don't have to try as hard because it's a kid's movie? No. Saying it's a kid's movie, that should work for things like if it's overly silly. Kids' movies can be overly silly. They can be things that are a little cliche because it's not cliche to a kid yet. But to just be a bad movie executed poorly because it's a kid's movie, we should expect better. I mean, kids have standards too. And if it's a really good kids movie, you can teach them so much.
If I could ask you 2 interview questions. Why do you think good characterization is important, and why do you think pacing is important?
Good characterization. I feel like the characters are the backbone to the story. If your characters are all wrong, it doesn't matter if your story is good. It's not going to play out in any meaningful way. Especially characters that learn and grow. That's my favorite thing. And pacing is necessary to create the emotion in your audience that you're going for. And if you spend a lot of time on what isn't important and not enough time on what is important, then the emotion that you're trying to convey is lost, because the emotional part is the part you skipped over, and people didn't have enough time to process that. Meanwhile, they spent all this irrelevant time processing trash. Does that make sense? So, overall, I did not like this movie. And I know a lot of you like it because of nostalgia. You saw it when you were young. I was 13 when it came out. I don't think I had Disney. Maybe I did, but I never saw it. I didn't watch it till now. Now I'm 35. So I don't have that same feeling of nostalgia toward it. I don't regret that I watched Halloweentown. I can cross it off my list. It isn't the kind of movie that makes me want to rip my eyeballs out. And I will probably watch the second one. From what I've seen in reviews, it is better. I will not be watching the third or fourth ones because I found out what the plots were, and really, Disney? So be sure to leave all your hate in the comments, and I regret nothing with this review. And if you do agree with me that Halloween was a terrible movie, please support me, because I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this video. Happy Halloween! Until next time. Every review I've seen on YouTube that...
Buddy? Buddy, come here.
He's doing a great job as co-host.
Buddy. I need you to leave Mommy alone.
Every movie you... Hi. Hi. Can you come over here? Buddy? Buddy!
When you're criticizing it.
Why is my battery running low? Isn't it plugged in?
No. Back.
I should have written down all the things I didn't like about this movie, because there was a lot.